And suddenly, dementia didn't feel like an old person problem, but something that was affecting me right now. My choices started to feel more like a lifestyle disease. Do you know when you're on your phone and you get a notification saying your screen time was 9 hours and you're like, wow, there is no way the reels could have been that good? Well, that's dementia. It's not one bad decision, but thousands of tiny habits quickly and quietly add up. And the people who see this so clearly are caregivers. To briefly explain what dementia is, it is a decline in mental ability severe enough to interfere with daily life. It's not one specific disease, but a group of symptoms caused by underlying conditions like Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia, or vascular dementia. Now, dementia affects over 57 million people worldwide. Just to give a little bit of perspective, there's around 1 million people in Tulsa. So if every single person in Tulsa had dementia, and there was around 57 cities around the same size, that is the global scale of dementia. That number is expected to nearly triple by 2050. The statistic alone is a lot to take in, but what's more concerning is when we talk about dementia. We talk about it after symptoms, after diagnosis, after it's already woven its way into someone's life. This led me to ask a question that completely reframed how I saw dementia. What if the most powerful prevention experts aren't just doctors, but caregivers? Caregivers don't study dementia and textbooks, they live in it. They manage medications, they notice personality changes, they give up free time, they lose sleep. They carry emotional weight that most people will never see. And while caregiving increases stress, something surprising happens. Caregivers change. They become hyper-aware of health. They start noticing patterns. They're constantly thinking about routine, memory, movement, and connection. Caregivers don't just wake up and say, today I'm going to be implementing new evidence-based dementia prevention strategies. They wake up going, okay, no one's wandered off yet, we have to be doing something right. Whether they realize it or not, caregivers begin to pick up the exact habits that research says helps with prevention. That's when I realized we've been studying dementia from the outside when we should be learning from the inside, from the people who are living closest to it. So here's what we do know. Years of research from professionals and reports like the Lancet Commission can agree on something hopeful. Up to 40% of dementia cases can be prevented or mitigated through lifestyle choices. Things like physical activity, having social connection, cognitive engagement, good sleep, stress management, and cardiovascular health have all been shown to help with prevention. None of these strategies require a diagnosis. But here's the problem. We know this research and we still aren't acting on it. Why? Because prevention doesn't seem relevant or urgent until it becomes personal. I know this is true for me. Growing up, the only time I really heard about dementia was on Grey's Anatomy. It was never something real. It was dramatic and it was solved by the end of the episode. I didn't understand the severity until it became reality. When I was 13, my dad told me my grandma was coming to town for a while. Naturally, I was excited, but there seemed to be a more serious tone that my dad had to explain. He told me that my grandpa had dementia, that he may not act well like himself. I listened, but I was confused and I honestly didn't fully understand it. It wasn't until he came that I slowly started to realize strange details that had changed about my grandpa. Small, little things. But as time went on, his entire personality began to change more drastically. He was still my amazing grandpa, but he definitely started to make less sense. He was a sharp man who now would set his alarm for 3 a.m., wake up, wonder why it's dark outside, ask Alexa, what time is it? And when Alexa would say, it's 3 a.m., say, you are crazy, Alexa, I set my alarm for 8 a.m. My grandpa passed away a couple months after her visit. Me and my family did interviews asking my grandpa simple questions like what his favorite color was or what his favorite thing about my grandma was. Through all his questions and through his dementia, he stayed consistent with the things that built up his base and his foundation. He loved the color blue because he loved the sky, blue dresses, and the ocean. Dementia couldn't take that away from him. Shortly after, when I was 15, I found out my great-grandmother, who had recently been diagnosed with dementia, was moving to Tulsa to meet my grandma. I was so excited to have her. Quickly, She taught me that every second and every moment mattered. And I do want to add, while my great-grandmother may have forgotten me from time to time, she never forgot how to play her favorite game, Rubik's, and she never stopped showing love when I was around her. My grandma, like great-grandmother, inspired my own research on how being a caregiver changes lifestyle habits. When I started talking to caregivers, I expected to hear one narrative: stress, burnout, and exhaustion. And while that is very true, and caregivers go through tremendous amounts of trials for their work, often putting themselves in positions where they are unable to provide their own needs because they're providing so much for someone else. Caregivers also talked about being more intentional with their routines, being forced to stay mentally sharp, having a deeper value for social connections, and becoming very aware of how stress affects the brain. Combining what I learned from my personal experience with dementia, I learned that seeing dementia up close makes you realize that every choice matters. Caregivers can't just ignore brain health. They see up close what happens when habits add up over a lifetime. They aren't guessing, they're learning in real time. But here's the truth. Treatment for dementia isn't simple. Many current strategies focus more on managing behavior rather than preserving dignity or preventing decline. Many current medication can cause extreme sedation, falls, and injury. That isn't care, it's merely symptom management. The current situation for treatment focuses less on the root of the disease and more on temporarily helping symptoms. And it raises a bigger question. Why do we invest so much into treating dementia later on and so little into preventing it now? This is where the theme New Eyes really comes into play. Caregivers see dementia differently than researchers do. Researchers see patterns that caregivers can't. When we combine both perspectives, something powerful happens. We stop asking how do we treat dementia later on and start to ask how do we build lives that protect brain health now. Dementia prevention doesn't look dramatic like in Grey's Anatomy. It looks boring. It looks like moving when you're tired, calling someone instead of scrolling, learning new skills, protecting sleep like it actually matters, and managing stress before it becomes chronic. Caregivers don't do these things because they're trendy. They do them because they've seen what happens when we don't. Now, I really hope I'm not calling anyone out. But if you're thinking, I'm young, this matters way later on, that is exactly the problem. Research shows that dementia risk begins decades before symptoms. Your brain health is shaped right now. Each habit is a goal for your future self. Remember that screen time notification? You don't get it while you're scrolling, you get it after. Dementia works the same way. Caregivers don't have the option to ignore the notification. They see the cost up close. And what they teach us, whether it's intentional or not, is that brain health isn't about fear, it's about awareness. So here's what I want you to remember. Dementia prevention doesn't start in a hospital, it starts with daily life. Caregivers teach us something that research alone can't. Seeing our future changes how we live in the present. If we choose to look at brain health with new eyes, not fear but responsibility, we don't just reduce the risk of dementia, we create a happier and longer future. We build healthier, more connected lives now, and we create memories and opportunities that will not be forgotten. I want to invite each of you to learn more about dementia and to spread awareness, not just for yourself, but